What is up, everybody, and welcome. It is fairly early this morning. I come out here and decided that I was going to flesh out a cape, and it didn't happen. This thing's still frozen, so it is what it is. I decided I'm gonna go ahead and try to make this video. I've had several people interested and wanting to know what kind of supplies and tools you needed to be able to mount your own deer. Okay, so what I've done today is I've went through and I've sectioned everything off kind of in the steps that you need to go with. I'm not going to go full in depth of the processes and how you need to do things. That's probably a different video that needs to be made. If somebody's interested in certain processes and wanting to know how I do them, or I'll be more than welcome to do a video on it and go from there. But we're going to get started and start talking about the first section. The first section has to do with basically caping the animal out, okay? Getting him off the skull and all that stuff, so everybody kind of knows that you get the animal, it comes to you, or you've got it at home or whatever. Well, now you've got to get him off the skull. So the first step you want to do is you want to take a measurement, okay? You got to take some kind of measurement to figure out what size form you want. So you need some kind of tape measure, okay? I can't remember exactly what they call these things, but I just call them a rope tape. But you need something to kind of take your measurements, and your measurements is going to be your eye to nose measurements and the smallest part of the neck, okay? That's right behind the ear butts. Right where the ear butts join the skull, you're going to go right around that. That's the smallest part of the neck on that deer. You've got to have some kind of way to make your cuts. I like using scalpel blades. I use number 60s and 23s. Alright, they're gonna buy them. I like buying Cincinnati's and Havel's. They're really good quality blades. And the only reason why I use them majority of the time is just because I can sharpen knives, but I'm not really good at it. But I can sharpen one to make good cuts, and to be honest with you, I just ain't got the time. I don't want to sit there and fool with it. Now, I have a lot of patience, but why? Okay, I'm just going to buy these. Whenever it gets dull, I'm going to throw it away. I'm going to grab another one, and I'm ready to go. So now that you made your measurements, and you're starting to make your cuts, you get the cape and everything off. Now you got to have some kind of tool to be able to cut the antlers off. Now there's all kinds of different things. You can use manual hacksaws, you can use sawzalls. Now I've currently went to the Milwaukee hacksaw. I absolutely love this thing, and I will never use anything else. Now you got to be able to turn the ears. Turning the ears, you really need a pair of ear turners. This makes life a lot easier. And then I like using a butcher steel to go up. Once I have them split, I'm going to use a butcher steel to go up, and I'm going to mash and roll them edges and get them down all the way down to the edge. And then I'm going to use a fleshing comb, okay? A buddy of mine gave me this. I use it every day. This thing, I love this thing. Now, once you have everything cleaned up, you've got to get the hide clean from meat and fat, okay? You can use a fleshing beam. Some of them are made out of plastic, or not plastic, but like PVC. You can make one out of wood. They'll make, draw knives or beaver tail knives and stuff like that. Do them. You can sit there on a table and do it with a scalpel blade if you want. To me, there's a lot of time involved. I can do one now pretty quickly, but I've gotten out of that, and I do a pressure washing process now. And so I don't really fool with a fleshing beam that much anymore. To dry your skull cap out, I like using borax. Borax, pretty cheap, readily available. You can get them at Walmart or your grocery store, anywhere like that. Should have named this off before we even got started, but you need some kind of gloves, okay? Latex gloves. And then you need something to put, wrap your hide up, put it in the freezer, keep it from freezer burning. Just make sure whenever you do wrap it up, you wrap it up tightly, double bag it, get all the air out of it that you can, and then write your measurements down on it so you don't forget them. Oh, and one other thing is a pair of scissors. A good pair of sharp scissors makes life a lot easier too whenever you're, cleaning around the earbuds and around the nose, nostrils, and stuff like that. Now that you have got your cake cleaned up and it's ready to preserve it, now you've got to figure out which way you want to preserve, okay? There's all kinds of different methods. You've got dry preserve, you have, pickling and tanning, and one thing that I've started using a little bit is Shear Cure. It's also known as a spray tan. I really love it. It works really good. If you decide to go with any of this, you need salt, okay? Salt is another key factor thing that you'll have to have. You also can use sodium sulfate. I've got some of that, but I've got it in a big tub. I use sodium sulfate a lot. I've just about used sodium sulfate now in place of salt. I still use salt. I still have like 300-400 pounds of it here that I use. But when you're making a pickle, you're going to use a lot of salt. You have to have salt whenever you're making your pickle. You can't use sodium sulfate. Sodium sulfate, when I'm saying I use sodium sulfate, I use it on the hide as far as drawing moisture and stuff like that. So you have safety acids. McKinsey makes a good safety acid. Pro One makes a good safety acid. Then you have a formic acid. Formic acid works really well, but this stuff is extremely dangerous. Right on the side of it, it says danger. So you got to make sure you're wearing good PPE and stuff whenever you're fooling with this stuff. Shear Cure is a good quality stuff. You just got to know what you're doing and do it correctly. Just when you're doing a pickle, you're going to want some kind of pH strips, okay? The ones I like is the ones from 0 to 3. And whenever you're doing your pickle, you're going to want your pH at a 1.5 right in the middle of the road. These are very important to have because you can't guess on your pH. Now, once you start doing a lot of your pickles, I've noticed now that when I make batches and stuff that I'm pretty spot on all my measurements and stuff, and my pH pretty much is the same all the time, and I never have to fool with it. Very rarely do I ever have to, add or whatever. So after you get done with all that, you've got to have some kind of way to thin your cake. Now, there's a couple of different things. You can use, they've got skiving knives, or they've got, you can use scalpel blades if you want. A lot of that takes a lot of time. I don't fool with them. I bought me a fleshing machine. A fleshing machine to me is worth its weight in gold. When you learn how to use it, you will fall in love with it. I just about turn. I don't completely turn everything with it, but I just about flesh everything off with my fleshing machine now, and that's all I use. So they're really valuable. Once you learn how to use them, it makes life a lot easier. So now you've got to have some kind of neutralizing agent whenever you pickle. That's going to be baking soda. You've got to have baking soda whenever you use the pickles to neutralize your acid. Then you've got to have some kind of tanning agent. Pro One makes a really good tanning oil, and McKinsey also makes a really good tanning oil. Now, it's time to order your form. Go ahead and order your form, your eyes, your ears. Then you've got to have some kind of way to mount on, some kind of mounting stand. You can do pallets. I've seen it done a bunch of different ways. I really prefer to just buy a stand. I didn't buy one, I built one. If you've got the materials or got the ways to do it, I prefer to just go ahead and buy or go ahead and build one. It's a lot cheaper. But now that you've got your form, it's time to start prepping. Alright, so what do you gotta have? A couple key items. You gotta have some drills, okay? You don't have to have two. I started out with one, but I basically use one, got a drill bit in it, and one that has my actual driving bit in it. The drill bit is to drill the holes. I drill the holes into the skull cap to put my screws in. You gotta have some screws, some long ones and short ones. I want to say I use 1.25 inches for my short, and I think these are 3 inches for the long. Some kind of roughing tools, okay? You gotta have something to kind of rough the form up, clean it all up really well. I like to use, it's not a file, but a rasp. You can get these at hobby stores. You can get them at Texas Timber Supply Company. As I said earlier, with that hacksaw, I made this little tool right here. Now you can buy these, but all this is a form prepper. All it does is it goes through the entire form with that. Use that sawzall or a hacksaw, and you just stick it in there and you rub it down. Okay. That's going to poke holes in there, and that's going to allow your glue to be able to stick to this form. Also, you're going to need some stout roughers. These things work wonders. It's good for little tight crevices and spots to rough the form up with. They have a small one and a big one. I also like to use this one as a hide puller to kind of maneuver and move that skin around. Now they also make this here. That's a hide puller as well. Has little sharp nails in it for teeth. Then it has a little rubberized curved area on it. I used to use this a lot. You can see all the rust from the acid, but I don't hardly use this anymore. Not since I use that stout rougher. Now you got to be careful with either one of these, because if you slip, you take a chance on ripping hair or ripping the hide, whatever. To do my prep work for my eyes, lips, and stuff like that, do you use a Dremel? I like using a Dremel to go inside the eye sockets to give me some holes for my eyes to hold to. I will use a Dremel in the corner of the lip slot, okay? In the back corner. But for the rest of the lips, I'm going to use this little bitty saw, okay? Now you can buy these. Pretty sure I bought this on Amazon. But any of these things that you can get on Amazon, I will put a link down in the description. Now, setting your antlers, there's a lot of different ways. You don't have to do none of it. You can use clay if you want and make you a little cavity and everything. Set your antlers down in there, screw them down. You can do that if you want. You can use paper mache. You can do a lot of different things. I like fast. I like to move. I like Bondo. Bondo, yes, you can spend a little money on it. There is some cheaper brands. I just buy mine from my local auto parts store. This is, probably can't see it. I can't get the tape off, but that's the brand that I use. But I've put a link before on here on Amazon, and there's just as cheap on Amazon. I'm probably fixing to just start buying mine from there majority of the time. Now it's time to figure out, okay, hey, now you're ready to start mounting. go ahead and set your eyes. All right, just a pair of eyes. These are prayers. You've already got your ears. These are the ones I like using. Gotta have some kind of clay. Now you can buy critter clay. Critter clay, I highly recommend it. It is a little expensive, but critter clay, I like it. It works really good for eyes. You can buy Amico brand, just air drying modeling clay. You get it on Amazon. You get it at Hobby Lobby. Any kind of air dry clay is going to work. You're just going to get a lot of shrinkage. So you're going to have to play with it. You're going to have to stick with it and stuff. I highly recommend not to use darn, I can't think of the name of it. If I think of it, I'll put it in the description. But you'll need some kind of glue. All right. I pretty much only use Pro 1 high paste now. Strictly it. This is the best stuff you can buy. Works really good. So now you're going to move on. Now we're mounting the deer. All right. You're going to need a couple of different modeling tools. These are all different ones. You can buy these. They're dirty. It's about time to go get some more. This is actually a lip tucking tool that I bought from McKinsey, but you can do the same thing with these. Okay, you can get these from Amazon. You can get them at Hobby Lobby. Just about any hobby store has them. I also like using paintbrush. I ended up cutting the tip and everything off of it and made it a stiffer bristle. I like using that for around my eyes whenever I'm setting them. They're a lot cleaner, a lot softer. It's not a hard tool mark. A pen pusher, or whatever you call this thing. This thing is awesome. You can set pins with this little tool. And this thing works wonders. It's just a lot easier. You don't have to have this. You can do them by hand, a hammer or whatever. But with that, the pins, the inset pins or whatever, they're really good to have. And then of course, T-pins. T-pins, I like using them. A hammer, just in case you get mad and you had enough, okay? Sling this sucker at something. Then you gotta have a pair of, I like using a pair of scissors to cut my hide off the back of the form when I'm ready to staple it. You can use a knife, it doesn't matter. You gotta have some kind of stapler. I got away from the hand stapler. Daniel Williams was talking to me the other day and he was saying, what is that noise? I said, well, that's my stapler. Well, how many darn staples are you putting in that thing? I said, hey, staples are cheap. I'm building a house with this thing. Alright, you gotta have needles. I like using L-shaped needles. Daniel Williams also turned me to these. These L-shaped, they're three-sided points or whatever. They're made for poking in leather and stuff. These things work really well. There's a few other ones that work good too. I bought some real small diameter ones that I got for a competition piece I'm doing this year. And them things are phenomenal, but they're so small, they're hard to hold. But then you're gonna need some kind of caping thread. Something to sew this baby up with. Alright. You can use B55. It works really good. There's no telling how long this roll is going to last. I've had it for about 2 years now, maybe 3. I don't use this every day though. I've kind of gotten away from using this. I've started using braid. Any kind of braid, just 15, 20 pound braid works really good. I have used bigger than that before, but you start getting bigger and you end up, you can't get a really good seam, and it's, the bigger it gets, the more you feel like you can pull it. When you pull real hard, you bunch them stitches up. That's not what you want. So, now we got to groom the deer. Once we've got him mounted up, we're just about finished. We'll make sure all this is in focus here. Yeah, I believe we're good. So now we got to groom him. You go to Walmart, Amazon, wherever. You don't have to buy this exact one. This is just what I bought that day. This is just a pet grooming brush. Works really good. You need some kind of detailing brushes. Somebody's got hair and stuff all in them, but one is brass bristles. One's nylon and one's metal, steel brush. And then I like using just this horsehair brush. Not really sure what this is for. Just the reason why I use this, I use it now and then I'll use it at the very end when I'm done. But this takes out brush strokes from these hard bristle brushes. This takes out all the brush marks. So now your deer's mounted. You're thinking, all I gotta do is wait on him to dry. No. You do gotta wait on him to dry, but he ain't done. Now you gotta finish it, okay? You gotta do some paint work. So you're gonna have to see how good are you actually with, paint. But everybody likes to paint, right? Well, let's see. This is the Iwata. This is the Iwata neon. All right, pretty sure that's what this is. The Iwata neon. All right, my brother had gotten me this. I think it's for a Christmas gift. Works really good. You can go to Hobby Lobby or buy a cheaper one and stuff like that just to start out with. That's probably what I recommend to do, because you're going to have to, of course, you've got an air hose, you're going to have an air compressor. All right. So now that you've got that, you've got paints and, you're going to have to get all that stuff. You've got to clean them. All right. We're going to talk about the paints and what they are here in a minute, but now you've got to clean everything. Lacquer thinner, okay? Lacquer thinner is what's going to help clean all your epidermis, your nose pad, and all that. So clean it up really good. Just kind of dip it, put it on a rag. Clean everything. It's got to be clean. The cleaner you get, the better it works for you. Now you got to do your finish work, okay? You got to put some kind of epoxy, some kind of fillers, just like doing sheetrock. Sheetrock, whenever you hang it, you put your screws in there. Now you've got all your joints. You've got to blend it. You've got to sand it. You've got to get everything nice and smooth. Same thing on a deer. All right. Inside your eyes, your eyelids, you're going to have some separation. You've got to be able to get that smoothed out. All right, your tear ducts is going to have a little bit of separation. You've got to fill in there. Inside your nose, you've got to fill inside the nose. Anything around your lip line, you may have to do some work in there. But to be able to do that, you're going to use epoxy sculpt. Okay, it's A and B, it's a two-part. You just roll up a ball of it, mix it 50-50, roll it up, and it's just like using clay basically. But you're going to put that in. Got something in my darn eye. We're going to put that stuff in. You're going to take a paintbrush with some water and then smooth it, okay? Smooth it out. It smooths out really good with water. Now you're going to let that stuff dry. Once it dries, and it don't take too terribly long. It's still kind of pliable after about 2 hours or so, but it's done stiffened up. I would probably wait overnight, just wait till the next day. You don't have to. You can do it 4 or 5 hours from then. But now you're ready to do some paint, okay? So what do? I clean him again. Same thing, lacquer thin. Go ahead and clean it again because you've been touching it. Now you've got oils and stuff on it, and you want your paint to stick good. So now that you've cleaned him, we're going to use some kind of paint. I like using lacquer paint. A lot of people don't, but that's what I like using. I use a Lifetone brand, and then I also use Champion's Choice. All right, Champion's Choice is starting. I really starting to like their stuff. But I'll go ahead and give you the colors. So, first color is off-white. Second color, natural flesh. Third color, cocoa brown. And then I'll use some kind of dark color, either dark brown or black umber. Now you don't have to use lacquers. You can use watercolors like Createx. They make some really good stuff. Or Createx, I think is how you pronounce it. They do. I've done it before. I'm just not a watercolor type person, or water-based. I'm not a water-based type of guy. I don't really like the paints. Sometimes I use them, sometimes I don't. But about 100% of the time, I'm using lacquer. So we've covered the paintbrush and all that stuff. So now, very important. This is, I think, a 2-in-1 or something, what they call brush. You don't have to have one of these. You can just get a small brush. A rag works really good too, but in between each coats of paint, just clean, okay? Clean the paint off the hair, it'll come off. Now you're ready to detail the nose. A lot of different methods out there, but the method you want to use is just using Mod Podge, okay? Mod Podge works well. You can use matte or clear, or matte or gloss. I kind of prefer using the gloss. And then you're going to need some kind of detail bottle. You can buy these little bottles with a little needle on them, okay? You can buy these, Hobby Lobby, Amazon. And then you're going to need some kind of clear coat, okay? Something to seal it with. You can use Rust-Oleum. Rust-Oleum does really good. And then there's a couple other ones in the markets and stuff that you can use. But now that you've got him painted, you're going to clean him all up again. And then last step, like I said, take and groom him really well. You can use all your brushes. Just go through, groom him as much as you can, clean him up. And now he's ready to hang on the wall. And you have officially mounted a deer. So, but anyhow, I hope this video kind of helps. I know I've kind of rambled along and I've probably missed something. I normally always do, but it's kind of hard to sit here and try to figure all this out when you're sitting here and you feel like you're talking to yourself. But hey, we're all in this together. So if you feel like you want to see some kind of other content, or me explain something a little bit better, leave me a comment, contact me somehow, let me know. I will be more than glad to. But anyhow, guys, I appreciate y'all coming on. If you hadn't subscribed already, please do. I appreciate the ones that already have, and good luck to y'all.